Okay, Joe, we're here at the George, which is a pub by London Bridge.
Yep.
It's one of the more historic pubs in London in a crowded field. But this place has been here since 1676.
So old.
And a pub previously existed on this site, possibly even as far back as like the 1300s.
And what else has happened in the 1600s?
Ever learn about the Great Fire of London, or is that more like a UK history thing?
Sounds familiar?
Yeah, in 1666, London burned to sticks was the rhyme that I was always taught. Enormous fire in 1666.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
But thankfully, they rebuilt, and this came out of the ashes.
I'm into it. I like old stuff.
Yeah, I think it's actually like the layout is kind of true to how it would have been back in the day.
Okay.
Because it's like a galleried inn. So what the idea was, basically you would like roll in here with your horse and cart and stop off for a pint and some food. So all the kind of like courtyard space outside initially would have just been full of, horse and carts.
Yeah, there's plenty of horse parking still, which is nice. Do you think no, there could have been like horse valets back then, right? I think I'd be totally confused on which horse is mine.
Just chuck your keys in.
Time to go, and they walk out, especially hammered, being like, grab your horse, like. So what do you recommend we get today?
So they actually are a Green King pub, which is like a chain of pubs, but they have a few unique things on the menu here. They do actually do their own beer specific to this location.
Oh, nice.
They have a George Ale and also a Golden George Ale.
Let's do it.
So maybe a couple of those.
All right, I'm ready to go, man. Let's do it.
All right, cool. These are freshly pulled pints from the cask. So you have the George, I have the Golden George.
They brew this here?
Not here, but they'll brew it somewhere nearby.
And is there, you're gonna get this here?
Yes, specific to this location.
Try it out.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Ooh, that's nice.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
It's also lovely. Yeah, fantastic.
Also got us some traditional bar snacks.
Oh, nice.
We have peanuts, which I'm sure you've had before.
Sure.
And also pork scratchings.
Scratchings?
These are fantastic. On these packets, they actually say pork crackling, but pork scratchings is the more common terminology.
Yeah, I think we call these pork rinds.
These have been around for centuries.
And this will be
So delicious.
Get with the lads. Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
Just like a little salty.
A little bacon snack. How often do you come to a pub like this, as far as like these older ones, these more classic ones?
Pretty often. I wouldn't say people choose their pub based purely on age. I think a lot of the time it's more like convenience. So this pub is really close to London Bridge Station.
Yeah.
There's a lot of offices around here, and also people commute from London Bridge.
Sure.
So it's more, I think, like if it's on the way to somewhere that you need to be, or if it's near where you live, that's probably more going to be the clientele. There might be some people who are like, I refuse to drink at a new pub or like a sports bar. But I think for the most part, it's more a question of, I will find one of the nicer pubs in the area that is the most convenient for me.
Is there a concern that you move to a new neighborhood or you move to a new spot and the pub nearby sucks?
Yeah, definitely.
So you're thinking of that when you're looking at a place. You're like, you want to make sure the flat is nice, gets nice sunlight, newer building, and what's the nearest pub like?
What's the local? There's a lot of things that we can be judging the pubs on today that we go to. There's a few like quantifiable things, like I guess the types of beer that you have on offer, the prices, the location, the kind of history there. But there is also just like kind of like a vibe aspect that's really hard to quantify as well when you're kind of picking your favorite pub.
Sure.
Because there might be a pub, like you say, where it has quite like a local energy.
Yeah.
And as an outsider, you have like an initial kind of like, am I supposed to be in here type of feeling? But then after a while, maybe you like really warm up to it and it's nice.
Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in your local pub and a stranger's walked in and you've been like, who's this guy?
No, personally not.
Yeah, like, why? Like let's say the other side, like you don't care. Like you're paying attention. I haven't noticed this walk in. I couldn't care less.
No. So what we've tried to do really is just select a few pubs that give you a nice overview of the pubs in London. We've definitely picked what I think are some of the best, but we'll have to see at the end of the day if you make a decision as to like which one you preferred out of the ones we've seen today, and also maybe more of like the style of pub that suits you best.
This video, we should just preface that like this is all the places that said yes.
Yeah.
Most said no.
A lot of pubs actively do not want publicity. They don't need it. Like every pub in London at peak drinking hours is going to be busy. People flooding out into the streets because there's not enough room in there. It's like you're selling water in a desert.
That's funny. Selling water in a desert and selling beer in London seem like two of the same things. That's really funny.
We got one really funny email from a landlady who will remain nameless, which ended by saying that I don't need your promotion. I'm running a pub, not Disneyland. Which I think speaks just to how strongly landlords want to kind of like preserve the feeling and the vibe in their pubs.
Fine. I do think that American drinking culture, for the most part, not everywhere, but for the most part, is get hammered on the weekends.
Sure.
And on weekdays, yes, people go out for drinks. They don't really start till later and usually go out with friends. I feel very self-conscious when I go to a bar by myself in America. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe less of that over here. Obviously, you still get drunkenness, don't get me wrong. But I think maybe, yeah.
I haven't seen rowdy lads yet. I will say that you guys, though, you smoke a lot out here.
Sure.
You smoke a lot. So I do see in front of the pubs a bunch of dudes just housing cigarettes and talking super loud about God knows what. Yeah. Probably not Love Island.
Hey, you never know.
The chat was all right. What was he thinking?
You see that Casa Amor last
He
night?
comes back from Casa Amor, what's her name? I'm like, you're bloody joking, mate. Yeah, no, none of that. Although that'd be really funny. Are there any pubs that play Love Island?
No, I don't. Maybe
Oh
a few.
my God! Please, I would
Honestly.
love that.
There was like
No,
guys like chucking pints
and
around.
it's like tonight on Love Island, 2 new boys. Yeah, let's go. That's so funny.
Really good.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I would definitely be down to go to a Love Island pub.
Yeah.
But it can't be like people who are like. It's got to be blokes.
It's gonna be rowdy.
Going hard. Yeah. And if not, we should try and put that together.
How are you enjoying your George Ale?
It does go smoother because it's less carbonated, so I can drink it faster.
What you're going to realize is like how much of British culture has been engineered to just enable more drinking and faster drinking.
Fantastic. And you're saying this one is haunted.
This one is also haunted.
Lay it on me.
So a landlady from the 19th century, Amelia Murray.
19th century landlady Amelia Murray.
Landlady Amelia Murray haunts this pub.
She bites the dust. Everyone's like, thank God, free rent.
Yep.
And then,
Boom.
now some jerk breaks out the Ouija board. Let's just see how she's doing. Whoops, open the portal. Now she's here forever.
Do you want to guess the way that she apparently manifests herself?
Do you know what the landlord special is in America?
No, I
You ever heard that term?
No.
It's what happens when you move into a new place and they've painted literally everything white, including over the light switches and the electrical outlets.
I've seen
The
that.
landlord special. So I'm going to assume you leave, you come back, everything's just covered in thick white paint.
No, sadly not.
Oh, that's too bad.
The way it actually goes apparently is that Amelia will drain your phone battery.
How would she know?
I don't know,
That's
man.
from the 1900s.
I don't know if I checked my phone battery when I came in, but I'm still like doing okay. So maybe she's having a day off.
There's no cell reception here, that's why.
Phones in pubs has kind of killed off like some of this pub chat. Because a
Right,
lot of
so-
pub chat was predicated on just being able to say something and being like, yeah, no, you know, actually that happened, or like, oh, my mate's dad told me that this happened.
Yeah, that's totally true, because now that we have phones, everyone's
Yeah.
super smart.
Everyone's like, I'm googling that right now.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you trying? Have you been on social media? We got stupider because of these phones.
I like being able to just like say things and not having them challenged, basically.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. For a video we're making it's going up publicly. Yeah, let's just talk and see what happens.
Yeah, I just want to be like a cult leader. That's kind of my whole vibe. Just don't challenge anything I say.
I didn't know this, but you know the Guinness Book of World Records? That book was started to settle pub arguments.
Really?
Yeah, it was Guinness, beer,
Yeah.
just started printing a book of facts. Because back then, probably when this pub was started, arguments were like deadly because you needed some release.
Sure.
So
all right.
Guinness is like, all right, here's how tall a giraffe is. Calm down.
You see, Joe, I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to choose not to Google it. I'm going to choose to believe you because I think that's how pub chat should go.
Okay, we're turning the comments off on this video.
Okay, man. Second place of the day.
Here we are.
We've taken you to a Wetherspoons. This is the Pommeler's Rest. It's a Wetherspoons pub right by Tower Bridge.
Okay, so I don't know a lot about spoons except last year when I came in for the first time and you and I met for the first time IRL, we met up at a Spoons, and when I shared that on social media, my comment section exploded because people couldn't believe that you took me to a Spoons. So Spoons seems to have some sort of infamous reputation. They have food here too, right?
They do have food. They have a lot of food.
I'm starving.
A surprisingly enormous menu. Have you seen the size of this thing?
Get the hell out of here, that's all here?
They offer all of these things at Spoons.
So this place is like a Denny's with a bar. Right?
I've never been to a Denny's in America, so I can't comment,
It's
but
pretty close, and that's
Yeah.
not a diss. I mean, and I gotta say, I don't know how the food is here. I've never eaten one, but this stuff is priced to move.
I think value is like crucial to the Spoons experience. There's a lot of things they do to like save certain costs and hopefully pass those savings on to consumers. You'll notice like they're not playing any music in here because they need a license to play the music, which they don't do.
I always thought there's no music in pubs here because you guys just serious drinking, and the music might lead to some sort of joy, and that will get in the way of the
It will
drinking.
distract from the drinking.
So right, it's just
Yeah.
it's just like no music, no TVs, carpets. So it's not that loud. Just everything about every pub I've been to in London is like sit and drink and be quiet
Yes.
until you get really drunk and then crack off with your mates.
Go and crack off with your mates.
What does that mean? What does that
I
mean?
don't think it means anything.
Really?
I mean, if you want to do that with your mates in spoons, then yeah.
Okay. How about a chin wag?
Yeah, that's more like it.
There you go.
Yeah.
See? Behold, the social chameleon has arrived. It's like I've lived here my whole life.
You're going to be speaking like a true Brit by the end of today.
Seamlessly
honestly.
blending in with the background.
But yeah, I think we should probably line our stomachs with
Yeah.
the famous full English from spoons.
Let's do it. Here's a sentence I never thought I'd say. What's a good beer to go with breakfast?
That's a good question. I might do a lager. I'd say there's certain locations where in my mind it's fine to drink before like 10 a.m. I think airports, just like the rules go out of the window. Probably in a spoons on like a Sunday morning if you're a bit hungover.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, man.
I don't think in most states you can serve alcohol that early in America. I'm sure there's some states you can, but
Yeah.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Woo-hoo-hoo. This looks fantastic. Thank
Enjoy
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think all of this comes to like just over £5. It's like an incredible bargain.
Fantastic. Place open in America. So why do you think a place like Spoons or the Spoons establishment has kind of like that eye-rolly feel to it?
I mean,
because I think this is perfectly fine. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, if a British friend of yours was visiting the US, would you take them to Denny's? It's like kind of that sort of vibe.
Or TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
Okay, good point. Yeah. How many pubs that you know have their own magazine? This is
Not
hilarious.
many.
Can I get this?
Have
in
you had
America?
a flick through that?
I did flip through it, and it's amazing.
It's so
this
good.
is unintentionally the funniest thing I've seen in a pub. So the owner makes this.
Pretty much.
I just thought at first I thought like, oh, that makes perfect sense. You have your own periodical about things related to maybe like the city or just things going on in general, like the same way that a airline has an in-flight magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But in closer inspection, everything's about spoons. Mm-hmm. Tim's viewpoint. Who's Tim?
So Tim is the owner of Wetherspoons.
Okay.
I will say a somewhat divisive figure.
Why is that?
I don't think he would mind me saying that. Very strong opinions on certain political matters. He was a big proponent of Brexit. He kept some of his pubs open during COVID.
Wow.
So a lot of the magazine is actually him just using
I gotta
it
say,
as a
the
platform.
energy of this is not what I was expecting.
No?
There's a thing in front that says, read all about it, of another version of this magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But the title just says, does truth matter? Take it easy, dude. I just want to get a pint.
The biggest spoons is in Kent, where I'm from. In Ramsgate, they call it the Super Spoons because it's enormous. It's got like 1,000-person capacity or something.
Is that where you and the lads would go drink when you started?
I wasn't quite near enough Ramsgate for that to happen. We had a local spoons though. I was the Muggleton Inn in Maidstone, aka Mugs.
I mean, you could be making all these words up. I don't know what you just said. There's like, what? Like, is this, you'll be reciting Harry Potter to me right now. I'm like, yeah, the Mugs sounds good. It kind of feels like the spoons I've been to don't look the same. I feel that a visitor could just wander in here thinking it's a standalone pub.
Yeah.
Until they really get like a closer look at the radical right newsletter. But at first glance outside, I'm like, yeah, it looks like a regular pub.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways they are just a regular pub as well. Like, it's cheaper, and they'll have a few, like I say, recurring themes in the same way that like they won't be playing the music. They'll probably have a few of the same beers on tap.
Oh, nice. In America, maybe you noticed this. Every drinking establishment, for some reason, they're like, the music has to be as loud as possible.
Yeah, no.
I can't stand it. I'll just sit in there like, oh God. Because then you're shouting, and I'm the king of like, when the music's really loud, and I'm telling some stupid story, because I think I'm really funny, and I gotta yell, and then, because sounds like, and then I my pants, and then the music goes back on, and everyone looks at you like, no. Old man yells a cloud moment, but I kind of like the fact there's no music.
Yeah, I will say we're in here at like 10:30 a.m., which is very much not peak
It would be
Spoons
weird
hours.
if it was packed.
Yeah, it'd be kind of concerning if it was packed at 10:30 a.m. I will say, like, as much as I am pro Spoons, I will say I doubt this will be the best pub I'll take you to today. I don't think a Spoons is the best pub in London.
You're just laying down the groundwork.
Yeah, it's like a cultural landmark that we
know.
needed to hit. But in terms of like the best pub, there's probably other things that we'll be looking for to judge that on.
Look, Harry, if I got a drink at several pubs today with you on camera, if that's what has to be done, then I shall do it.
You're so brave.
So if you want to take me to your favorite ones, let's go to some ones you don't like to eat too. And what the hell, let's hit a few on the way to the next one. Like, well, I personally am dying for a glass of a Jamaican wine. So I'm sure that's why you took me here?
That's exactly why we took you here. No, not quite. The name actually has some really interesting origins. This actually was arguably London's first coffee house.
Really?
We're talking back in like the 1650s here.
Wow. It's like the first Starbucks. It's like, what is this thing you call coffee?
Pretty much, yeah. The original Starbucks, if you will.
Sure.
They would import coffee from Turkey back when it really like hadn't taken off in popularity at all here, and brew it here, serve it. really caught on. I think when it opened, it was the first one of its kind, and then a couple of years later, there were like hundreds popping up across London. It really hit that sweet spot of like Puritanism in the UK.
Yeah.
Not to bore you with too much history, but we had this guy called Oliver Cromwell, who kind of represents the Puritan movement here.
Yeah.
He did not like the monarchy, kind of took over, put a lot of extreme Christian rules in place.
Oh, God.
Basically, nothing fun was allowed. You weren't allowed to drink.
Oof.
You couldn't do things like go to the theatre. You couldn't swear.
Oof.
I know. But so for a while, it was a bad time to be a pub. So places like this might have, pivoted to serve other things, like coffee, for example.
How long was he in charge for?
Not super long.
I can imagine. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
I really need a beer. This guy's got to go.
Yeah, can't have been much of a fun time to live in the UK.
Such
Not
rich
true.
history.
Yes, yeah.
You know what? I think I'm going to do something very British, and I'm going to get a cider.
Oh, okay. I might join you on that, just in solidarity. It's not my normal drink of choice, but I kind of want to hear more about like how American cider stacks up, because I know you guys have a bit of a different idea of what cider is.
Yeah, I hate it.
Cool.
So I'm getting it pretty much to confirm that it's bad. But
Okay.
I'm here in London, so I might as well do as the Londoners do.
We've got more drinks to drink, so I feel like some variation will probably help us
I
out.
feel like some apple juice will really hit the spot right about now.
One of my 5 a day. Just get that down.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. It's like a pint of white wine. Dude, cider in America, besides Magner's, like the homegrown cider brewers in America, they got Angry Orchard, and we got another one, Red's Hard Apple, with 2 D's, I think.
Sure.
The ad campaign is just like, yeah, manly cider for us men. Yeah, this is from the Wicked Orchard or whatever. They're just trying to get ahead of, men like cider. Like, all right, yeah.
Okay, fine,
fine.
I guess.
It's drinking. I feel like I'm drinking Mountain Dew.
Which you love doing.
I'll have like one a month. I've never drank 8 Mountain Dews.
So what we need is like a Baja Blast cider, and then you'll be all over it. To get here, we had to walk down several of these weird little side alleys.
What was that all about?
It's really tucked away. I think it's very London to a degree, in that we don't have the grid layout that maybe New York has, or that a lot of American cities might have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's kind of cool that you can just be walking around London, divert down a random side street, find like a beautiful church or a pub or something like that.
This is a really nice pub for how seemingly off the beaten path it is.
Yeah.
Didn't Dickens knock about here?
He did. So apparently Dickens used to drink here.
Yeah.
He apparently based Ebenezer Scrooge's office on this pub.
No.
Yeah.
That's really funny. What else did he write besides Christmas Carol? Because it's constantly redone.
Yeah.
And they name it something different. So I don't know what. Okay.
He took it from the Muppets, which was the Muppets Christmas Carol, and then he just made it a
With
Christmas
people.
Carol. Yeah.
Thanks to him for that. Yeah. I don't go to the bars regularly by myself. And the times I do, I feel very much like, I feel like I'm at a party where I don't know anyone. And I really don't like that feeling. Versus pubs, here, it feels a little more common to kind of just kick it on your own and have a drink and chill out.
Yeah. It's a real just catch-all, honestly. It's like, I'm bored, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I just want to go somewhere warm. You want to get out of the rain? Oh, there's a pub there. I'll just go and chill in there for a bit.
Like apartments and living spaces here is a lot smaller too, right?
Particularly in London.
You're not expected to like be in all the time.
No, probably more similar to New York in that regard, I guess.
One of the things I love about pub culture, that again, yes, what about to say exists in America, but it's more prevalent here, is that the person who kind of runs the pub or owns the pub or the person behind the bar is pretty much running the show.
Yeah.
I love when you go into a pub and you got an old lady, old guy back there who's just being like, fellas, yow, so just like hit the road. It's like, okay, all right, like it's almost like the mom or the dad of the place. You know what I mean? Like it's just
definitely.
nice to kind of like have someone, because it's their place, it's their place, and they treat it like their home, and they're like, like, you can wait because you're rude, I'm helping this person. Like,
I do think in general there is still a lot of respect for the pub landlord or landlady. It's still like a very deferential area of British society, I think.
Idiot sports bar in America, some teenager behind the bar didn't want to pour a pint properly, and it's like, oh, come on, bro. I noticed that they have these walls, these partitioned walls, but they kind of got a snake around. Is that just some sort of manufactured privacy? That this feels like this is this row and then this and then that's that row, but as opposed to having a big open space?
I think so, yeah, very much.
I think it's actually pretty smart. It doesn't feel echoey, it feels a little more, even with this wall right here, it feels a little cozier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you have lots of little things where you can, lean or rest your drinks, that sort of thing.
But
pretty
not
practical.
tables.
Not
And
tables.
he's sitting there all night, nursing a drink.
They're still
It's
trying to
finish a pint, hit the road.
come on.
Most Americans, I don't think, are aware of what a half pint is, or the culture or the stigma of a half pint in the UK. So we'll go to the next pub, we'll get full pints, but we want to get a half pint and talk about it, because I'm very fascinated. I mean, even your energy right now is like, you seem really annoyed.
My guard is up right now.
Yeah. And I just said half pint, so I want to get one, and I want you to explain to me and the audience what a half pint's all about.
If it's just for science, we can order a half pint. That's fine. All right, should we hit the road?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool.
Yeah, look at this, drinking in jail.
Okay.
Look at that, oh wow. This is fantastic.
This is
us right here?
Yeah. The beer dungeon.
Yeah, a little tight in here.
man.
No fire exits,
Little
all right.
squeeze.
All right, new spot. We're underground, it feels like.
We are.
In some sort of bunker,
Yeah.
possibly where Churchill was knocking about during the Second World War. What the heck's going on then? Where are we?
Churchill liked to drink. I don't know if he came here during the Second World War, but this place is old. I
Yeah.
mean, like even in context of the other places that we've been today, which are old.
Sure.
This building has probably been here from sort of the 14th century when it started as like an abbey, so like monks would be kind of kicking about in here. It's been a pub since 1538.
Do you realize this has been a pub so long ago? It is quite possible at this very spot, two blokes having a pint and someone's like, hey, yo, new country just dropped. They're calling it the Americas. I'm like, huh? Like 13 colonies are going rogue. What? Right here, what? Like everything that's happened in the world ever, someone was sitting at possibly this table being like, whoa, for real?
So this was a pub 200 plus years before America was even founded as we know it today.
That's crazy.
Which is wild.
But upstairs itself was a nice old pub too.
Yeah, so there's kind of layers to this. It's actually spaced over 4 stories. So we're in, like you say, the basement right now, which has been here since, sort of 1400s. So the upstairs, again, a recurring theme, was destroyed in the Great Fire of London, 1666, and then rebuilt. We have the ground floor, there's like fireplaces, we have upstairs rooms, which apparently were used as brothels in the 1800s. So this building is historical. There is a lot of history here.
The doorways in the hall, everything's very tiny. This was built for tinier people.
It was, yeah.
This is back before the government convinced us to drink milk all day, every day. And they all like grew as a species. This is back when everyone was, the average height was like 4'7".
Yeah.
Oh man, if you're pushing 5 feet, whenever basketball was invented, they were like, yo, this is the guy right here, right?
This guy in the NBA, man.
Yeah. Another thing I want to ask you about, this half pint of beer. I insisted that we got a half pint, although we are having regular pints, so don't worry, your lads aren't going to go after you.
Sure.
There's very few things that set off an Englishman, but the second you start talking about half pints, you guys are just like, whoa. It's like one of the few things you guys can really uptight about. What is it about the half pint that you have such an aversion to?
Personally, I just think it's like kind of pointless.
Yeah, it's a tiny beer.
It's a tiny, tiny beer.
Yeah.
It's not enough to, intoxicate you.
Right.
The number of girls who I've spoken to who've said it's an ick if a guy orders a half pint is absurd.
That's funny.
You know what icks are? Do you have any icks?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I know it is.
What are some icks for you?
Having an opinion on a half pint. What if you were like, but 2 of them equal one of these? So what if I came back to the table with 2 of my own half pints?
And then I'd just be like, why haven't you got a pint? So I think we should order some food.
Yeah.
I'm gonna order a couple of like British pub classics.
Okay.
Have you had a Scotch egg before?
No, but I know the reference in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place and also in The Office.
Okay, nice.
That's
all you need.
It's a hard-boiled egg wrapped in bacon and deep fried?
Sausage meat and deep fried.
I'm sorry?
Hard-boiled egg, sausage meat, breadcrumbs, deep fry.
God, you people are the worst. What the hell is that?
Of all of the like British pub foods we've introduced you to, I think actually this is one that I will defend to the death.
Yeah, all right. What else?
We should also try a steak and kidney pudding.
Steak and kidney?
Mm-hmm.
Like kidney meat?
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly this became like a torture dungeon.
I guess you're wondering why we brought you here.
All right, let's bring it on.
All right, man. So it's steak and kidney pudding. It's a suet pudding. Do you know what suet is?
No clue.
So it's animal fat, commonly beef or lamb.
Yeah.
So you kind of get this like blended mixture of kind of like pastry with the meat kind of mixed up in it. I think we should just dive straight in as you pour your half pint into your regular pint.
In fact, this is a kidney.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No? Oh, no.
Oh.
You did get like a whole kidney there.
And I'm drunk. Now I'm beginning to see why the pilgrims are like, we're out of here.
Pudding is almost as traditional as it gets in the UK. These guys have been renowned for their puddings for like 100 years or something, like at least. They used to make enormous ones, like a 23 kilogram pudding, and then just kind of like divvy it up afterwards.
Notice the Scotch eggs have arrived. Hard-boiled egg encased in sausage. Yeah, I can get down on this.
Also, have you had this before? This is piccalilli.
No. Is
No?
anything with Piccadilly Circus?
Not quite, no. It's like a mustard-based relish type of condiment.
Okay. Better. I could see this hit the spot, especially while drinking.
Good.
The pickled lily, this makes it.
Good, right?
Yeah.
A condiment that's kind of like fallen out of favor recently. It was more like something that my granddad used to eat a lot of, for example.
Eating it now, I'm thinking, yeah, I totally get this, but I cannot foresee, if I lived here, I cannot foresee myself being like, oh, a Scotch egg will hit the spot right about now.
I will say, I haven't ordered these dishes because I think these were the ones you would like the most. These
Sure.
are more just things that I wanted you to experience because
Yeah.
they are kind of core to British culture. I will say the food here is actually pretty good. They have like an upstairs restaurant area which does fresh food, like really good fish and chips, other pub classics like that. So,
And I want to point out that I just discovered right now that I do not like the taste of kidney, so I don't want to. So if you're a kidney head, this is probably a fantastic dish.
another fun fact about this place, which is kind of becoming a weird recurring theme, also featured in Charles Dickens novels.
Man, Dickens loved to drink.
He loved
That
the
guy
pubs.
loved hitting the pubs.
He loved a
Yeah,
pint,
good for
did
him.
Dickens.
Was he married to have kids?
I don't really know. Probably
also-
too busy writing and drinking.
Yeah, and also I'm thinking like oh, the men after the work they come to the pub and they're here all night. Like nobody's like, hey, go home, right?
So this is actually a brewery-owned pub, as are most of the pubs in London now. It's kind of rare to find like an independent free house in London. This one is actually owned by a brewery called Sam Smith's. So all of the beers on tap are kind of produced by this brewery. And that's pretty common. Like you'll find a lot of pubs where all the beers are kind of made by the brewery
I
that
have
owns
noticed
the pub.
that, except they all got Guinness.
Yes,
Yeah,
most
I
of them
have
have
noticed
Guinness. Guinness is just like widely demanded
But
everywhere.
for the most part, it's like, yo, we only got the Smith joints or whatever on tap.
Yeah, it really depends on like which pub you're at and which brewery it's owned by as to what you can get at the pub. Some of them are really disciplined as to say you can only get our products there. The pubs that we've been to so far, I mean, they've all been kind of like within walking distance of each other. This is very much kind of the old like city of London, which would have been a very small area. What we're going to do now is maybe go slightly outside of that. I think we're going to head slightly further north to a pub which might not be quite as historic, but is still doing things excellently.
Yeah, whatever. All right, this looks like a nice place. Ooh, got swords in the sign.
Yeah.
All right, and the cannons.
And some cannons. It's an
Okay.
aggressive pub.
I'm into it, man. I cannot wait to use the toilet.
Compton Arms, special to me because this is in my neighborhood, one of my regulars. This is in Islington. We're right near Highbury Islington Station. Lovely area, full of great pubs, and this is one of the best.
Just took me here because it's the pub near your flat.
Yeah, then I can just go home really easily afterwards.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
I can just stagger back to mine.
Tight list you put together here, apparently.
This is like a slightly more modern pub, but when I say modern pub in London terms, that's still like 1800s.
It's really nice. I like it.
Yeah, what can I get you?
Yeah, whatever you're
I'll go
having, I
get
don't
some
care.
beers.
Yeah.
A couple of Camden Hell's lagers,
Let's
local
go.
beer.
What is a Hell's Lager?
It comes from the German Helles, which is like light.
I never knew that.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't even have that one on the script. Just
Wow.
knew that straight off the
Had that
dome.
one off the dome. All right. Yeah. Well, this is a really nice place. I think.
It's a really nice place.
Clean, minimal. You know what's about this pub, man? We're like, when I say across the street, it's more like across a driveway.
Yeah.
Our apartments. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, you could live there, and I could take 3 long steps and be in this pub.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I gotta get my mail delivered here.
I mean, for me, that's a great thing. Although I will take this opportunity, now that you've said that, to quickly go off on one about NIMBYs. Have you heard that term before?
Of course.
NIMBYs,
Let's do
man.
it.
They almost shut this pub down
Ugh.
because people bought flats like these right
Yeah.
next to it
Yeah.
and then complained about the noise.
It's a pub.
It's a pub. You
How
buy
late are
a
these pubs
flat.
open till?
Not even that late. Like London licensing is a little bit strict in terms of like pubs don't stay open that late. So we're talking like last calls, probably like 11, half 11.
I feel that's a selling point, though. I know it'd be kind of tough.
To me, that is. To most people, that is. But
Yeah.
you get these like rich people who want to live in a bustling neighborhood, but with none of the bustle.
Yeah, you have to turn the bustle down.
Come on, man.
Terrible.
Yeah,
So obviously
stop
it's
doing
still
that.
here.
Thankfully, there
No
was
issues?
a campaign to save it, which was successful.
Yeah.
They fought back, they won, it's still here, still preserving all of this history and serving some great beers. Of the famous clientele that have visited this pub, George Orwell might be number 1. Not only has he visited this pub, but
Dickens never was banging here.
I think Dickens might have actually missed this one, sadly, unlike all of the other ones that we
Make it
visited
this way
today.
up north, huh?
Not only did Orwell like this pub, he liked it so much that it's believed to have inspired an essay he wrote. And in this essay, he had like 10 commandments for the perfect pub.
All right, let's go.
Should I run through some now?
Yeah, let's hit it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
Pull up
did
the
not.
paper. You didn't memorize it.
I didn't memorize
Give me
these.
number 1.
I'm
Let's go.
sorry.
Let's go.
Okay. Number 1, the architecture and fittings must be uncompromisingly Victorian.
What?
Victorian in style. Games such as darts are only played in the public bar, so that the other bars you can walk around without the worry of flying darts.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
No dartboard, but we can play Scrabble.
This thing is like really wet. I think it's
Soggy
got-
Scrabble board.
All right, so okay, 2, yes.
The pub is quiet enough to talk, with the house possessing neither a radio nor a piano. I will say when we came in, they were playing music. So I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
funny. No music is what he's saying.
Yeah, they might have abandoned that
Okay,
one.
all right.
The barmaids know the customers by name and take an interest in everyone.
Out of here, dude. How hard is the job to work here today? Hey, it's Greg or whatever. Like, rude, honestly, to expect that.
It sells tobacco and cigarettes, aspirins and stamps, and is obliging in letting you use the telephone. I don't think they sell cigs anymore.
I mean, they
Kinda
definitely
sad.
don't have a public telephone.
We used to be a proper country.
Aspirin's a funny one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, okay, 2 Advil kind of the spot right about now.
There is a snack counter where you can get liver sausage sandwiches, mussels, cheese, pickles, and large biscuits with caraway seeds.
All right.
Upstairs, 6 days a week, you can get a good solid lunch. For example, a cut off the joint, 2 vegetables, and a boiled jam roll for about 3 shillings.
What's a shilling? What's a shilling?
Some old
Do
currency.
you even know what it is?
It's old British currency.
This is a list for someone who's going to be like, I'm going to be there 12 hours a day, so...
Never, for example, make the mistake of serving a pint of beer in a handleless glass, apart from glass
So
and
beer's got
pewter
to come
mugs.
with a handle.
Supposedly so, which unfortunately they've abandoned.
I haven't seen a handled glass since I've gotten here.
We haven't had one all day. No, sad. Number 10, you go through a narrow passage leading out of the saloon and find yourself in a fairly large garden. Apparently the benefit of the garden is that whole families can go rather than mums having to stay at home and mind the kids.
Hey, what are we doing today? Oh, this is going to be so much fun, kids. We're going to go to the pub where I'll be drinking with my friends and you and Mom will be a block over in the garden. Don't come back in here.
I will say, of those 10 commandments, Orwell said that he only ever saw a pub do maybe like 8 of them.
That's a tall order.
It's a lot to ask
Just
for.
he's never
Yeah.
found a pub that does it.
No, he
Has
was
anyone
pretty
tried? Do you
particular.
think anyone's tried? Well, you couldn't even do it now.
No.
No diss to Orwell or anything, but like, why is he the authority? And you made this list, it's like, okay, and who are you?
It's true.
Yeah.
We have, a lot of rules as to like what we all think are our
Like,
best
and
pubs.
imagine if Stephen King was like, here are my 10 rules for a steakhouse. Okay. Right? Just, I mean, if you
Yeah.
read them, you're like, who's this guy?
I want to hear John Grisham describing his perfect barber shop. If you opened a pub, what would you call it?
I'm gonna call my pub. I can't think. I don't know. I need more time to think about what would you call yours?
The Owl and the City.
Oh, you're such a guy. You're such a clown. You're such a clown.
Speaking of strange pub names, can I run a few of the most bizarre ones by you from the UK?
Let's do it. Hit me.
The Bucket of Blood.
That's a great one. That's
Yeah?
a great. Where is that one?
I don't know, but
It's
you
a
drink
fantastic
there?
name. Oh my, it's a fantastic name for a pub.
The Drunken Duck.
Goose is better, but okay.
Okay. Bunch of Carrots.
That sucks. What? Bunch of carrots. Thumbs down on that one.
My Father's Moustache.
That's great, and I feel like you're making these up.
The Legend of Oily Johnnies.
Oily Johnny. Now is he naturally oily,
That might
or he
be the
like,
best.
or he like worked in the oil rig? Do you even have oil rigs here?
Not
There's
really.
no oil here, right?
Like North Sea oil drilling is a
Is
thing.
it really?
Yeah. That's a thing.
Bucket of Blood is perfect.
Bucket of Blood and
That's
Legend
so
of Oily Johnnies.
good. Legend Oily Johnny.
You guys have into Oily Johnnies tonight?
Yeah. I think there's some guy there that had like someone has to be working there, like just dripping with oil.
Yeah.
Just like, yes, I'm Oil Johnny. Who's gonna be Oily Johnny tonight? So straight up, there's all the pubs we've been to today, we get nothing like this in America.
Sure.
Because if we wanted something like this in America, we have to recreate it. Here's what I've noticed about a lot of places here because they're so old. You know, you just like open the door and you're in.
Yes.
In America, most places because they're built so recently, there's like 2 doors
Sure.
or like an entrance. No, for real.
Yeah.
You guys just have this like I'm in. What I like about all these pubs is they're so cozy. I do feel like, yeah, I could come here every day after work and hang out and see my friends and feel like I'm not home, but in a more welcoming environment than say an American bar that's like, yeah, hurry up, go waste it and go.
Yeah. Unless it's like super, super busy, you're not really going to see anyone getting that frustrated about the wait. I feel like you say, certain things like cask ales, for example, a Guinness, like part of the process of making a Guinness is leaving it to sit for some time so that it can kind of settle.
Dude, most places they pour a Guinness in the U.S. like you pour a regular pint.
Really?
It's a nightmare.
We saw someone order Guinness on the rocks in New York when we were there. I was so confused.
That's so embarrassing.
There was a second where I thought this was something that all Americans did.
No. That was
like
that person.
Guinness on the rocks.
No, it was that person specifically. That is not normal.
I realized that because then the barman looked to his mate and was like,
Yeah.
what do I do? And he was like, yeah, just I guess put some ice in a glass and pour a Guinness on it.
Here, if I was like, could I get Guinness and a glass of ice, would they do it? Or they'd be like, no.
Ooh, I don't know if they would. They might give you ice on the side if you ask nicely.
That's what's missing from America. We need more people just to step up and be like, no, it's not happening.
So, no, you can't.
No, I'm not doing it.
The customer isn't always right.
Honestly, if all the pubs we went to today were all near each other, so I had a choice of which one I could hang at, this would be in the top half.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay. I do feel like some of the other ones went to, I was like, yeah, I get it, let's get out of here.
I think in general today what we've tried to do is give you a tour of what I would say are like central London, quite historic pubs, which are maybe the type of pubs that you would find in like a typical tourist guide, but at the higher end of those.
Okay.
I will say there are somewhere in the region of 3,500 pubs in London. So for us to truly find the best one, we'd probably have to visit more than we've hit today.
There's so many pubs.
But the ones that we've hit, I do think give a pretty good overview of that, historic London pub culture.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I'm happy these places let us in.
Me too.
I've had a fantastic time. But yeah, this has been really great. Do we want to pick our favorite, even though it's a bit moot?
Yeah, I think I would be interested in hearing just your general thoughts on the pubs that we've hit today.
Yeah.
If you want to pick a favorite, that's fine.
My favorite, the one, all things considered, that I could go back regularly. I think the old Jamaica Wine House was my favorite.
Nice.
I thought that all of them were great, but that was the one that really got that dark Victorian wood feeling. I felt that it was welcoming. They all were. But on top of being welcoming, it also was very comfortable. I felt with the walls, the partitions that they had up there, it didn't feel like so open. It felt like we kind of have our own little spot. I mean, I know we had that cider, which is kind of gross, but I'm assuming they have other better beers on tap.
They do.
I just like the vibe of that one the best, so. Yeah.
Nice. Broadly speaking, yeah, I think it was probably between the Compton Arms and the Old Jamaica Wine House.
Yeah, but that doesn't count because you come here all the time anyway.
It's true, I'm biased.
If you live by the Old Jamaica, would that be your spot?
Possibly, yeah. I'd have to earn a lot more money to live in that part of town because it's very central. But I really loved the whole, you're walking down these little alleyways.
Yeah.
It feels like you're kind of back in old London,
Exactly. Yeah.
And you've stumbled upon this little hidden gem. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, very cozy, friendly, warm, secluded joint that I would happily see myself there.
I didn't dislike any places. They all had great elements that I liked, but that was the one that overall I was like, yeah, this is a good spot.
That's fair enough. I respect that.
Thank you.
Again, I feel like we're probably going to get a lot of people commenting saying, why don't you go to this pub? This is the best pub. This is my favorite pub, my local.
Comments off on this one.
Comments
off on this one.
Or we let comments on and we do a part 2.
Yeah, that's even better. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Someone get a poll going where we should have gone, and I'll come back in a year and do that. Yo! All right. I'm ready for another beer. How about you?
Yeah, I think I can do another one too.
Let's do it.